Welcome to Thelma's podcast. So we're gonna have to do it by Zoom. All right. So today I have an amazing guest called Chester Young. So how do I know him? Well, I am gonna let him introduce himself. Hello, hello.
Hello. Can you get me?
I can, but I can't see you, unfortunately.
Okay, sorry, I'm now here.
Better. Hi,
Voila, finally.
Chester. Finally.
I don't know what's going on, to be honest. I can't get a link, and I know I should be able to know this stuff, but anyway,
No, no, it's okay. Don't worry about
hopefully
this.
the feds are not watching us and trying to
No, it's
prevent us
no
from
problem
talking.
at all. Once you get the hang of it, trust me, you're gonna be doing a lot of lives, and it is good for you as
Great,
well. Like
that's
if you're
right.
on
Yeah,
set or things. But anyway,
yeah,
so
yeah.
introduce yourself to us.
Yeah, thank you. And anyway, for inviting me to be in
Pleasure.
this podcast. Well, my name is Chester Young. I'm an independent filmmaker, and I make documentaries that look at government policies and the failure of those government policies, and trying to make the public aware of those policies and how they're affecting people in local communities and nationally, as well as internationally. So that's kind of my job at the moment.
That's amazing. So how did you get started in the filmmaking industry? How did you get into it?
Well, I've always been interested in art since I was a young person. I started by just making things, artistic work, sculptures, writing stuff, and I actually wanted to study architecture. That was my dream when I was growing up. And I was born and grew up in Sierra Leone in West Africa, and I fled
Hmm.
the civil war in the 90s and came to the UK to seek sanctuary and well, actually to study. That's what I came to do initially. And then when I was in Sierra Leone was going through a whole change in terms of political, social, and economic development. And there was a civil war, and it was really lots of struggle. And when I realized that I can't study architecture in Sierra Leone because there's no school of architecture, I end up studying art
Hmm.
and join a local theater to perform and tell stories. At that time, theater was closed and radio was just in the city and it's a sycophant radio, which is not really telling the truth of what's going on in the country. And there was a law oppression. So we decided with a few people who came together as grassroots theater artists to use dance, drama, and music to go to local communities to try and inform them what's going on because they were blanked out. They're not informed of what's going on in the environment, and they don't even know the value of what resources they have in their country. Because Sierra Leone like have 13 minerals, got some of the best marine resources in the world, and all that stuff. So we geared to us to do that and came together and start to beat drums and entertain people and then feed them information. But gradually the war spread and
Yeah.
I fled Sierra Leone and our lives were at threat because we are kind of at the forefront trying to expose things and fight for democracy, peace, justice, you know, and equality and for education too as well, and also to make art flourish so we'll be able to have our culture and our way of life being propagated to the population and so that they can make those changes to make themselves better. But it was a huge opposition to do that, so eventually I fled the country and I came to the UK to study. And but while I was in the UK studying and working, I in 2003, people were demonstrating against the war in Iraq and Afghanistan. And I thought, look, I lived in a dictatorship and I've never actually experienced democracy in my
Yeah.
life, you know? And I think this will be a great opportunity for me to get out there and trying to find democracy. So at that time, I just started digital filmmaking. This is when filmmaking transit from analog to digital. And then we can get a small digital camera and a little iMac or computer, you can edit stuff, with
Yeah.
music and stuff like that. So I was into that, because I thought, wow, this is fascinating technology. So we were the first people when digital filmmaking came to grasp that idea, and where that is going in the future. So I became a filmmaker by just taking that camera, getting out there and study the anti-war movements. And I studied that for 10 years. And I really got hooked by just finding this democracy that I really yearn for, that I have never experienced. So I went and just saw like, okay, first of all, when I was in the protest, there was like millions of people, demonstrating. Apparently, said 2 million. The media say sometimes 1 million. Some people say 500,000. But you know, I thought actually those people can change the status quo at the moment at that time to stop the wars in the Middle East and this Middle East policy the UK government and America and all its allies had drawn up to attack the Middle East. So, but when I saw that that didn't actually stop the war progressed and all the destruction we know now, parallel way, we're facing the same thing now, what's going on in Gaza and Israel. But that's completely different from that time anyway. But yeah, so that didn't work. And I thought, wow, where's the democracy? Where how can people actually influence their politicians to stop something when the masses came out? Can they debate those policies that are failing or stuff like that? So they didn't. So I made War Matters, which is a documentary about that, and I followed Brian Hall, who was in Parliament at that time, and then that just got me hooked into
Mhm.
filmmaking. And I
Mm.
tell, wow, because I can't experience democracy at work, can't experience it in most places I've been because it's not a tangible thing that you can hold in it.
No.
When you
Mhm.
think about it, dictatorship, you can see the brutality and the murder and the arrest and the imprisonment and all the injustices that goes with it. But democracy, of course, I was free enough to get out there and film stuff and ask questions without getting prosecuted, without having any fear, which was good. And then protesters could do what they did. But then when you see the conflict between protesters and authority to stop the marches, to stop the protests, to crush the campaigns, is that democracy, you know? And all the
Mhm.
court cases that ensued and the prosecution of activists and all that kind of stuff. So that got me hooked to find democracy and to do it through film, to tell the story through film, to document what's going on in that period of time. I didn't actually set out to do documentaries. I set out to do fiction
Mhm.
because I come from a theater. My dream is to become a filmmaker, to tell stories, action movies, and kind of stuff. And then put the subtext into those stories to tell the reality of our world. And that was my dream. So, but because of my passion and my kind of craziness to find this democracy in a Western world, because you imagine you live in a dictatorship in Africa, you get sold the idea of democracy, you know, and the glory of it, the beauty of it, how people are free and they got free speech. They can say anything they want. They can change the status quo because they're the people. They rule the government. They vote for the government. And I'm seeing that not happening. And I'm seeing almost like a dictator, almost similar to what's happening in Africa. But of course, maybe they sugarcoat it. So
Yeah.
I'm starting to see flaws in it. And I'm thinking, okay, I have to investigate it. I have to really find this democracy, you know. So I went out there with my own passion and resources because definitely I don't get funded most times
Mhm.
to do the films I make, because the establishment will say, wow, you're going against the government, you're going against policies, and I'm not going against anything. I'm just studying it and just observing it and documenting it. So when the student took to the street in 2010, when they privatized university education as well as primary and secondary education, I took to the street to follow them as well, and the brutality that I experienced at that point, with the authorities as well as the protesters and those physical, almost like medieval battles,
Mm-hmm.
in modern times. I mean, with my camera filming, it was thrilling in a way because, of course, you're a filmmaker, you're capturing something historical that most people could not capture because you go in the forefront, you stand in front of the action because most media will be scared, insurance and all that kind of stuff. You will not go in the front. So most of my films, when you watch them, they give you that feel of being in the real battle, in the real protest, in the line of danger, if you know what I mean. So then I made Kettling Other Voices in 2015 that deals with the student uprising. And then in my community, I actually wanted to go back to drama. I think, okay, I've done my bit. I've done the anti-war movement. I've done student uprising. I've done a couple of other film and activist films and short films along the way. I'm going back now to do the drama I want, the fiction I want to make that I really want to do. I just get like, because I thought if you see injustices happening, and you're a filmmaker, you have the tools to record it and to make films about and to give a voice to the people,
Mm-hmm.
and you don't do it, then you're also part of the problem. You're kind of, a culprit in a way, So I decided, okay, well, I have to tell the stories. There's no one trying to tell the stories, so I will tell them. And so that's why I did it, and it was a passion thing, and it was a way of also finding out for my own sake of this democracy that I wanted to find. So I involved in it. So I was going to do my dramatic pieces, working with some few producers to develop my feature films and all that. And then my children's school, where I was a governor for 10 years, was going to privatize the school. And then when I question it and I'm trying to ask why the reason which is really one of the best schools in the country, they ganged up against me and chucked me out of the governing board because the head teachers been manipulated to bring people, because that's what the government does. They created policies and they find out the loopholes to privatize your assets, and they make it legal in the policies, and then they don't inform the people about these policies. And then maybe the BBC will talk about it once or no, once or twice, and a few media will talk about it. No, it's not something like you have to have a debate and trying to argue the point why we should do this and that. Policies get created by people you don't know, they don't talk to you, they don't consult with you. And
Mm-hmm.
then eventually those policies come out in parliament and then get voted for and then get voted for in the House of Lords without actually having a proper debate in the public. Education was Middle Eastern policies, you name it, it's all the same, to welfare and energy. Yeah. So eventually they'll get implemented and then people don't know about it. So my quest was to tell people about it.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I was doing. So then I did that, and I found out that okay, they chucked me out of the government. What's going on? The governing board, what's going on? So I started to investigate, and I thought, oh God, I made already two films about politics and all that, and they nearly bankrupted me, because
Oh.
nobody's funding me. I had to work to get money to make it, because I just think people need to know, and on the internet, I've
Wait,
succeeded
wait,
to
wait.
make
You
millions of people
fund,
watch them.
so you fund your own films?
Most of it, I would say 99%. Yeah,
That's
because
not like, sorry to cut you, but
well,
like is that you have all of this that you're showing what's happening. Surely people, there should be someone out there that should fund what you're doing, because it's not fair that you have to work and making film is a double work to do this. So
I know, which is the heartbreaking thing. And I tried. I spent countless amounts of hours applying, putting proposals together, and you don't get nothing. But you've got to understand it because at the end of the day, people work for government and agencies and departments and I'm doing a story about government policies that are failing and affecting people. So if you find somebody like me, like executives or people who are in high position who got the power to give the money to artists or local, people to do work, and then that backfire, they're gonna come back at you. They're gonna get sacked, and
Yeah.
you're going against the government. You're going against, no, not against the government. You're going against a policy or people who design a policy that is failing, who are still in government. So you can understand how people will be scared to actually support me or encourage me or think they are with me,
Hmm.
because
Yeah.
I'm a kind of I don't know what to say. Maybe a rebel. They would think that's what they think. I'm a rebel or I'm
Yeah.
toxic,
Yeah.
But I am no. I'm just coming from an outside, looking inwards in an environment that I've thrust myself in with the illusion that I will be indoctrinated to think that's the reality of a world that I am in. And I'm not seeing that reality.
Mhm.
I'm seeing that it's an illusion rather than a reality. So I'm going out there to try and prove it, whether it's an illusion or a reality. So
Mhm.
people look at that and think, bloody hell, this guy is crazy what he's trying to do. He can get me into trouble.
But that's
So
the
they're not
risk.
going to support me. So that's a risk I
Mm.
took to make all these films. And but I've learned amazing stuff. And I've learned so much about politics, about humanity, about life. And now I'm trying to get back to drama. So after making The Great School Robbery, which you can watch online, actually, you just type The Great School Robbery film. You can watch it on Amazon Prime
What,
and
what's the
other
name?
channels. The Great School Robbery. This is about the privatization of schools and
Can you please talk about
primary
that?
as well as secondary schools.
Yeah. Can you please talk about that? Because the reason why I've insisted for you to have you, because I work in a school and all
Okay.
the things that you say is true. Like there's so many things that teachers, parents, we don't know. There's so many politics behind it. Can you tell us a little bit what your documentary is about? Because it's so interesting.
Well, my documentary is called The Great Schools Robbery, and it's about the privatization of schools, basically primary as well as secondary schools. In 2010, the UK government, the coalition between the Conservative and the Liberal Democrats government, put in a policy called the Academies Act 2010, which geared towards privatizing schools. Means because schools are run before by local councils, so the government gives the money to the local councils to run the schools, to look after the schools. And if a school, for example, is facing issues, the local government could see that, okay, we put a little bit more money. If you see special needs, then we put more money, more investment, more people, more experts to come in to help that school. And the funding comes from the local council. But the Academies Act 2010 allow private trust, like private companies, to form what they call multi-academy trust.
Mm-hmm.
So in a sense, like the Harris Academy, which is the guy who created Carpetwright, who owned Carpetwright, who is a businessman who funded the Conservative Party, now own a lot of schools, over 20 schools or something like that, and he's got the Harris Academy schools. And so if you form a multi-academy trust, you can take over public schools by applying to the Department of Education, and then it will give you all the go ahead to go and take whatever public school you can and work with the head teacher. So before, public schools have a governors who look after schools. The governors come from either the community, private sector, local councils and teachers and head teachers and parents and all that come together to usually discuss the running of the school, where the school is going, how to help the school to progress if there's issues and all that stuff, or plan for the future. But once an academy trust that runs many multiple schools with the same ethos comes in and take over your public school, it become private. And usually, if you have in a public school, if you have a problem, the parents will go to the governors or, people who are involved on the chair and
Mhm.
influence that chair about their problems. But once a school is academized, it's become a private school, it means the trust owns the school. So the trust owns the pupils, they own the assets of the school, the building, as well as the playing field, and they get money from central government per pupil of that school, and so the money get given to them to run the schools they have owned,
Mhm.
basically. And they own these schools for nothing, without any penny exchange, and they can sell a playing field, they can knock up buildings and build, there's many things they could do to own the assets of the school. And maybe they can build high rise and have the school maybe on the top they can sell playing fields to developers and things. There's possibility. And even if you can't do most of it now, in the future, you can. And the parents and teachers, and members of the community have no power how that school is run, how that assets is going to be dealt with in the future. So, and if anything happen with a parent and the school in regards to their children, they will not be able to go to the local council to seek help to
Yeah.
solve that problem in the school. The only remedy is they will have to go to court, to sort that remedy. Before you can go to the local council, and local politicians can have a say or influence situation in those schools. So once a school is become academized, which you call multi-academy trust, then the community and parents and teachers have lost power, and teachers could be replaced. When a school get academized, become multi-academy trust, usually they will sack the experienced teachers and who are more paid, because of course the CEO needs to get paid high
Mhm.
amounts of money, and they need to suck up from the staff, from what they spend. Teachers actually have to spend their own money to buy crayons, pencils, which usually the school could provide, because the CEOs, they're not providing those equipment, and special needs kids actually struggle in these schools because academies are mainly about results and competition, because it's a business, you know.
Yeah.
And if a child is not doing that well, a child is need more investment, they would think, "Ooh, that's a problem." Because if I spend for another TA to come and look after that child, that's my salary is gonna be cut. I need to. And a lot of those children get excluded eventually because they see you, they don't want to spend. Before the council can't put the money to spend. But I see you need, you can still say, I got this kid, yeah, we need special, they give the money, and the kid will be in the school for like a year or 6 months, and then the CEO will pay him, he or herself, split on that money. Well, it depends on the profit they make, and that child
Yeah.
will be excluded from that school to another special school, and then will be passed on from one school to another, making money on that child's disability or whatever problem the child is facing, to be educated, or those parents. So this is just like a brief, really, what academization and privatization is all about. But it has started long time ago, since 1988, with the conservative reform on education and the privatization of public assets, basically. Because if you look at it that way, taxpayers had paid for all these assets, all the money, like now funding hospitals, paying a tax for this and that, buildings, upkeeping them and building them, hospitals, for example. And once you privatize it, that resources and that asset get transferred to a few people who will run and control them in the future. That's what they call privatization. I'll see it in the post office, utilities, we're seeing it in many transport, energy,
Yeah.
various areas that have been privatized, which we have to pay now triple when we already pay taxes to invest in those assets. So this is what's going on, and taking power and asset from people centralized in one too little group of people who will be controlling how we do things. So that's the great scroll robbery is mainly following politicians as well as parents and teachers, finding out what's going on and campaigning and fighting and resisting the status quo. It's a really inspiring story of how democracy works locally, what you can do to resist, when you realize that, yeah, this is coming at you. And also it's a lesson of democracy, the state of our democracy today and our educational system. And also to look at the future, because education is changing, technology is changing everything, and we're not prepared for it. We're not
No,
really investing in it.
no,
And other countries are passing us. They're like
I
taking
agree.
the lead, and our politicians, and they just want to privatize and get it to some few people who are not consulting the public and seeing the potential, the talent out there that we need to nurture to make this country great. It's like, oh my God, what's going on? So the film really teaches you a lot about what's going on, and how maybe in the future we can come together looking at the film and what I've documented for 5 years or so
Mm.
to maybe learn from it and kind of wake up or be aware, because people are not aware. We're too busy working, too busy doing this and that. We're bombarded now with all social media, all kind of content wars. We're distracted so much. We're not looking at what's going on in our communities anymore. And
Yeah.
this is what they want. This is what the leaders want us to be engaged, because they don't want us to know what's going on, you
Mm.
know? So that's
Listen,
what the film about anyway.
I've got two more questions for you, but what you're saying is so passionate because it's exciting because you're really going out there. I think as a filmmaker, you are somebody that really wants to unveil the truth, like exactly what's going on. What are people hiding from us? In your case, what the government is hiding from us. It looks like they have so much to answer for, but it looks like you have started to. Is it you have designed some courses? So is that something that you did? I saw that you have designed some courses for university. Can you talk
Yeah,
about that?
I work for university and I do short courses, and
Oh, okay, so you work for university,
yeah,
and
and
you,
I impact my knowledge to what I've learned to the people at the university bring to me to educate. So that's what I do. And yeah, I could actually form my own courses, but it's just easier to go through a recognized
yeah,
body sometimes. It's
mhm,
like I'm out on my part-time work I do sometimes to make a bit of money, with clients all around. So I'm a independent filmmaker, self-employed,
yeah.
and all that kind of stuff. So definitely I need to earn a living, uh, sharing my skills. That's what
No,
I'm doing at the moment. Yeah.
that's fantastic. So you have designed the courses. I thought it was your courses. You've designed.
I did design them and implement them. And they just created a hub for me to do it and advertise and get me the students to do it. And then they pay me per hour to do it. That's
Amazing.
what I do. Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
amazing. So you're able to be a filmmaker and also using those skills that you have been. I mean, how long you been a filmmaker now? How long we
Oh,
talking?
started 2000, so 23 years.
23 years. So all of the skills I've learned. So it started as a hobby, something like to do, to a career. And I like that the beauty of your story is that all of these things for 23 years, now you have a designer course for people to learn from, I think maybe more documentaries, or do you also offer other skills? So
Yeah,
is it for
I
documentary filmmakers or for other
no, not
skills?
only documentaries for the universities, mainly documentaries, from documentary storytelling, video journalism, documentary interview techniques, all the different strands and area that could develop a filmmaker to find a voice to represent the people, because that's what we do as filmmakers or artists or podcasters or journalists, is to you know give a voice to the people and see what's going on in our society to make sure that is known. So when we create policies and we get to vote and apply the democratic process, we're informed so
Yeah,
we can be able to vote accordingly. And actually, it's a criteria in our democratic, policies to be able to inform people. So by rights, actually, I should not be using my own money to make the films I'm making. They should be funding me.
Mm-hmm.
But because digital technologies change the thing, now you can make films with your mobile, for example.
Yeah. Yeah.
So we just need to give the people the tools to be able to do that and the knowledge so we can be at the forefront. Because if we're not at the forefront, journalism is very important, and art itself, from filmmaking to visual to graphics, you name it, to communicate to the people with all the distraction at the moment. So that's what I'm doing and what I'm trying to impact. But yet still, definitely, I want to do more. I want to do more. I want to get more funding to create more work. But that's quite difficult in our time at the moment with streaming coming in, disrupting the whole independent filmmaking scene and devaluing the work of filmmakers and all that stuff. So I can't complain because I've got the knowledge and I wanted
Mm-hmm.
to impact it. And I'll always love teaching. It's always great to work with young people. Young people are amazing. The knowledge and talent they
Yeah.
have right now, and they're so clued on sometimes. Most of them, I'll say, and just help them and steer them. And they're the future. And
Yeah.
we need to impact that knowledge to them and give them the skills and encouragement and confidence to get out there because they get put down so many times. So much stuff bombarding them, different angles, technology that we're all getting trying to get grip of. How do we deal with that? Social media and all that, yeah, and internet, AI is coming now. So this is
Yeah.
the thing about education as well. AI is coming and we're not prepared. We're not even talking about it in our curriculums at the moment. So what's going on? So we need to spark a debate about education. And that's why I made the film. I want the film to be out there as a tool to educate, make people aware, and then to spark up a debate about education, to have a conversation where we're going with it, And some nations are way ahead of us. Britain was so lacking. Seriously. And I'm frustrated with this because we've got amazing people, amazing talent here, and knowledge and institutions. We got the facilities, everything is here. Tech, man, got the people filmmaking, we got the best people in this country to make films. That's why the Americans are coming here to make
Of
films
course.
because we've got the skill. We're using us as a service industry. But we should be having our own proper industry, and all that
Exactly.
stuff.
I
Yeah,
agree.
so
I mean, I like your passion because you're not like, oh, I'm a filmmaker, I'm here, to be rich and famous. It's actually, you have a purpose to tell stories, to actually go above and beyond for people to know what's going on, for people to really like look deeper, to create debate. That's what I like about filmmaking. It's just for
that's
me,
right.
it's not, I won't say I close the door on it, but there'll be a time I'll go back to it. But when you have kids and
I know.
it's hard because I love filmmaking, but at the same time, in a way, I feel like filmmaking is time consuming. You have to do so much, and I didn't
Oh,
have time, unfortunately. But my kids have grown now, so hopefully one day I'll go back to it. But it's not
fantastic, fantastic. Yeah, no, you're doing well doing this podcast as well, trying to gain an audience, to inform people, to have people from different angles to come and talk and know things that you don't know about, which is, I
exactly.
think, is a great thing.
Yeah, thank you so
Yeah, and
much.
it's a new way now, a new way
Yeah,
to do things.
I mean, it's for
Yeah,
young people to know that when they leave secondary school, when they go out there to work, what it takes to be in a professional world, because some of them don't have a clue. Like some of my students, they think all filmmakers are rich. I'm like, this what
not anymore. That's before. It was in the 80s, 90s when independent filmmakers are coming out like Quentin Tarantino, Robert Rodriguez, and you know James Cameron, you name it, even Steven Spielberg those days, and Christopher Nolan, and can make a short film, then a feature film. that is amazing, and they get this attention and funding and money thrown at them because they make millions with their work because they're really
Yeah,
talented people, you know.
that's it. But
That time is past. That time, the streaming and all the technological changes in the internet has devalued that. But we're in a different era now, a different kind of industrial revolution.
mhm.
So we still have the capability and the potential to do those things, to make money. But it's not like before when it's easy to do. Now you have to work 20, 30 times, 50 times harder
Yeah, 100
to be
times
able to make 100 times harder, maybe. Well, with my knowledge, I'll say maybe 30 times, maybe, or 50. But yeah, when you don't have that much experience or knowledge at all, then it's 100 times percent harder. So, definitely we need to get a grip of what's going on and how we can make art and film. Because if we lose our culture, if we lose who we are as humans and in a relationship with each other and tell this to be able to not tell the stories of our
hmm
humanity, then we've lost this altogether. We're gonna be told stories by AI who are not humans, who are gonna make us want to become less human and not connected at all. And if we're not connected as humans, it's dangerous. It's not
Yes.
good for society, for humanity in the future.
Yeah.
So we need to look at these things, and that's why education is important to me. And this is why I'm going out there to find out what's going on. Because
Mhm.
if you don't know, if you're not prepared, you're gonna be left out. You're gonna be doomed. You know.
Yes.
So and
Education.
we need to, yeah, yeah,
Education.
handle it.
No, you're
It's the
right.
key.
Yeah,
The key to success to everything.
it's just a
And politicians have to be understand that we have to invest in it, put money in it, a lot.
shame. I have to say, it pains me that all the work that I do, all the things I have to put up, at the end, I get a meager salary. And I'm thinking, that's not right. I can't be teaching, working full time and be broke at the end of every month. And I come home, and that's the thing that kids do not know because a lot of kids think, oh, we start at 8, we finish at 3 o'clock. I go to work very early to get myself settled. I leave sometimes very late so that I've got marking and whatever. They don't realize all the work you have to do as a teacher. They think, oh, we have a lot of holidays. No, it doesn't work like that. Holidays for us to plan, to recuperate. Anyway, so this podcast is really for kids to have a clue, a little bit of clue what the professional life awaits them. It's not pretty, it's hard work, but I feel like somebody has to tell them the truth. I say, look, this is the deal. It's not really about your GCSEs, it's about your experience, it's about your skills. For me, I had a good diploma when I went to uni, BA honors. But when I applied for work, no, what experience do you have? What experience? I had to go out there get experiences. I want people to know you're stressing about GCSEs. You need to think of the bigger picture. What you want to do in life? How are you gonna get there? What are you willing to do to get there? Because you can have all the best GCSEs in the world, but if you don't have any experience, that's not
Or
gonna take
connection.
you far. It's not gonna go far. But anyway, I
Yep.
want to say a big thank you for you to come today. That means a lot to me. I was meant to do a bit earlier, like 5:30, but I had meetings. Anyway,
No.
thank you so much for
Thank you for
accommodating.
having me. It's a pleasure to talk to you and to share my knowledge and passion with you and
Thank-
your audience.
But I've got one more question for you. What would be
Yeah,
your
go on.
main tip or main advice for future filmmakers? What is your main advice?
Oh, my main advice to future filmmakers is you gotta be committed and hard grafted because it's not an easy journey, you know, but it's also one of the most fun, creative, and very enlightening and rewarding job
Mm-hmm.
of humanity. I'll tell you for fact, because when you make a film, it lives forever. It's like writing a book or piece of literature, a poem, you know, or a song, for example. And we are the ones that tells the story of the world and the state of humanity and political, social, economics. So everything that happens in our world, we are the people who interpret it and tell the world to be aware of it. So we are very, very important in any society, but it is hard because filmmaking is not like being an engineer or a scientist or when you finish or doctor, when you finish your work, you have a job lined up that you can go and do.
Yeah.
Filmmaking and art like music, sculpturing, painting, and all kind of stuff. A You have to be exceptionally good. You have to be like showing somebody that this is what I'm doing. I got talent, fund me, give me the opportunity so I can make you money because it's business. It is actually business. It's
Yes.
not institutional money to fund filmmaker is minimal, minimal. Yeah, it's not a lot of money out there institutionally because, of course, UK government don't want to fund you so you can go talk against them like me, with their failed policies. But people love that because when you look at it, we work 5, 6 days a week. Some people work 7 days a week, and we have families. And the only time we have for ourselves is when we consume art. When we listen to music, read a book, watch a movie. Go and watch a theater piece or skate or whatever it is that entertain you, acrobats, you name it. It's that time that you escape your hardship, your reality, your workload, like teachers, for
Yeah.
example, now, to rewind, to be able to be entertained, to laugh, to, have that breath of fresh air, a little to come back to the reality. So
Mm-hmm.
we are so important to make reality, humanity sane.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah? So that's our job. But yet still, we got to do it to make money, and you have to be exceptionally good. You have to train, work hard, show your skills. The internet right now, everybody can make an art now. Mobile, the technology, you go on YouTube, you learn everything now, It's like,
Yeah.
it's there. It's at the tip of your hands. Of course, it's all saturated now because everybody can do it.
Yeah.
And that's
Yeah.
why you have to be exceptional. That's why you have to really focus and work hard so you can beat the next person. No, not beat, I don't think. We're competing still, but I think we support each other as artists, but you're just saying, wow, you come up with some amazing concept, an idea, or series, or film, or video, or
Mm-hmm.
podcast, or whatever it is you can, or painting, and that's great. And a lot of people just learn a lot from that and feel inspired. And inspired because we're not inspiring anymore. We just put in the gloom and the bloodshed and all the stuff that we face now, and making us really in a dark state, coming in this
Yeah.
dark state. So artists, we're the ones that inspire people, that take them from the dark state to the lighter state, so we can create and make the world a better, peaceful, prosperous, and
Mm-hmm.
nicer world to live in. And so
Oh,
stay
that's
tuned and be really strong. That's all I can say. And creative and
create.
powerful. And make money. Make money. The
Make
more money
money.
you make, the more you create.
That's right. I love exactly what you said. Listen, it's funny because we've never met face to face, but
And
I'm gonna make my aim to see you face to face because we've been speaking for many years.
sometime, let's do
Yeah.
that.
So
Yeah.
listen, we need to meet one day. Yeah, definitely. And thank you so much for your
Great.
time.
Thank you.
I'm
Thank you.
really
I'm honored. Thank you
yeah.
too.
Thank
All
you.
the best.
Thank you again.